Alright guys, so in this parallel parking video, we are not just going to look at how to do parallel parking, but we will also look at what are the general mistakes, the most common general mistakes when students are doing parallel parking in their driving test. So the step number one is your signal. So right now we are in a parked position here, and the curb is on the right side. So that means before we start doing our parallel parking, before we start moving, we have to indicate and shoulder check. So if the curb is on the right hand side, then we signal left shoulder check to indicate other drivers, other traffic, that we are going to start moving from parked position. As we are approaching to the space where we want to parallel park, we put the right signal on to indicate the traffic behind us that we are going to parallel park here. Now obviously in a parking lot there's not a lot of traffic, but in your driving test you still have to show to your examiner that you know about the rules. Okay, so in Manitoba they ask you to do this parallel parking in MPI parking lot, and a lot of time it's gonna be empty, there's not a lot of traffic, but you have to pretend like you're on a busy street and you're checking traffic all the time. So that's why the signals are very important when you're doing parallel parking in your driving test. If you don't put the signal on, they will deduct points. In Manitoba, if you don't put the left signal on, that's a 1 point deduction. If you don't shoulder check, that's another point, that's gonna be second deduction. And if you don't have your right signal on, that's gonna be a deduction as well. They will also check how far your car is from the poles. So when you're parallel parking, you should have about 2 feet distance or maximum 3 feet from the yellow post. Now you have to, same idea here, you have to pretend like you're on a busy street, you're not in a parking lot, and you should be in the middle of the street when you're doing this parallel parking. Okay, so if you're too far from the yellow poles, that means you're blocking the whole street. That means you're in the left lane and you're blocking all the traffic. So let's continue our parallel parking. So now we have our right blinker on, then we look for this yellow post. So this yellow post right here, it represents the back side of this car. So we are looking for this yellow post in the back triangular window of our car. So now we see a yellow post here, and now the most common question I get asked is okay, this is great, Mandeep, but if I'm taking my personal car and if I don't have that triangular window in my car, what I do? That's a very good question. If you don't have that triangular window in your car and you're gonna be taking a personal car for your driving test, you can simply look for this yellow pole, or you can line up this yellow pole with the back windows. Same thing in real life situation. If you're gonna be parking in between the cars, this yellow pole will represent the back side of this car, so the brake light or the rear bumper of this car. So when you see that yellow post there, the next step for our parallel parking is to shift into reverse. Look on, check on both sides, make sure there's no traffic. Again, remember, you have to pretend like you're doing this on a busy street, not in an empty parking lot. So you're checking traffic, you're looking for pedestrians, you're looking for cyclists. Alright, so you want to show that your examiner need to see that you're checking, you're doing your 360 check when you're doing parallel parking. So crank the wheel all the way to the right, check again, so left shoulder check again just to make sure it's clear, and then we start to back up. Now the next step is as you're reversing for your parallel parking, I want you to look in the left mirror here. You're looking for 2 yellow poles in the left mirror. Now in real life, the 2 yellow poles, they will represent the front headlights of that second car. So right now we're just gonna focus more on the left mirror. You should be looking around as you're when you're looking in your mirror. This mirror is your main focus, but at the same time you still want to look around to make sure you're not gonna interfere with something. Okay, So now we see a yellow pole here. So we are looking, we need to see both yellow poles. So we see one, and now we see both yellow poles in the left mirror. So basically what we are doing is we are setting the angle of the car. So now we have both yellow poles in the left mirror, and in real life that's gonna be the front of the second car. So now we can straighten out our tires. So we turn the steering 1.5 times to the left, and then we back and straight. Now guys, this step right here is the most important step when you're doing parallel parking. If you back up too much, that means you're gonna bump into the curb, or if you're going too fast, you can go over the curb as well, and that's gonna be automatic fail. Now in Manitoba, if you bump into the curb, you don't lose any points. But I know in a lot of other provinces, if you bump into the curb, that's an automatic fail. So make sure when you're reversing, you can look in your right mirror to gauge your distance, and that judgment, it's gonna come with more practice, more experience, and that's why you have to parallel park, as many times as you can before you go for your driving test. So what you're looking for is when you're backing up, you want to see when you notice the back tire is about a foot away, so 10 inches or 12 inches away from the curb. That's when you turn the steering completely to the left side and then back up more. Okay, so let's now it's a very important step, so let's watch it again. Okay, so here this is a perfect distance, so the back tire of the car is about 10 or 12 inches from the curb. That's when I will crank the wheel all the way to the left, and then I back up more. As I'm reversing, I'm still looking in my mirror to make sure I'm not going too close to the curb, and I'm also looking over my shoulder to make sure I'm not going too close to the back car here. Okay, so now when the car is parallel to the curb, that's when we stop. You can move forward to center yourself, and when your examiner give you the okay, your parallel parking is perfect. Before you move out, you have to signal left again, left shoulder check to indicate that you're going back in the traffic.